He got his hair cut today. Oh my word. And there it all went. all over the air. All right. Oh, should you get down, buddy? Should we get you down? Get down? Okay. Anywho, what we are going to be talking about today is imposter syndrome. What it actually is and what it really means. Because I really feel like if you guys understand what it really means, it's a lot easier to plow through. Okay. So, first things first. If you are watching on YouTube right now, make sure that you subscribe and that you also hit the bell so you get notified whenever I go live, because sometimes it's different times and you just don't know, but I guarantee you will absolutely want to know whenever new stuff comes on, okay? So there is that. And again, today we are talking about imposter syndrome, what it actually is, and what it feels like. The reason that I'm even talking about this at all, you guys, is because I had some friends reach out to me the other day and they were talking about some new stuff that they were wanting to do. And the husband just said, he got real quiet. It was almost like he didn't really even want to say it, but he needed to say it. He needed to ask. And this is coming from a guy too, okay? Everybody goes through this. And he's like, okay, so what do you do? Well, first he asked me, do you ever have this where you feel like people are thinking like, you know, what right does he have? He hasn't been to school, he hasn't done this and he hasn't done that and whatever, right? And that's what he was saying. You guys, that and so what I said was that's imposter syndrome. That's what it is. I don't know if you can hear Herman tapping around. He's 100% tapping everywhere. But that's imposter syndrome, you guys. That's exactly what it feels like. So what it feels like is your fears and your internal judgments about yourself, okay? I just keep it real, guys. I just keep it real. It's your internal judgments about yourself that you think that other people are thinking, okay? It's this internal fear that is seeking validation externally, okay? Now I'm gonna kind of give you a second to just, what? It's an internal fear that you have that is seeking its partner, it's seeking a match, it's seeking external validation, okay? So what you're doing is you're thinking, because you don't want to do that, but it's what your mind does, right? It's trying to find validation in what it's thinking because it needs to be right, whether that serves you or not. It has to be right, right? This is your ego. It has to be right no matter what. That's the whole, if you talk about your ego, that's the whole thing with the ego is I got to be right, okay? Whether it hurts you, whether it feels bad or not, it needs to be right. So when your ego is feeling a certain way and it's scared of something, it's going to seek validation externally, and then you're going to basically project that fear outward. And you're going to project that fear, and then it's going to mimic itself. It's going to mirror right back to you in what you think someone else thinks. It doesn't even mean that that's actually what they think. I'm going to let that sit with you for a second. Okay. And let me tell you a story, because hashtag I got a story for that, right? Whenever I first started my digital marketing business, I had quit my job at one of the largest, basically kind of like digital marketing corporations out there, okay? And so whenever I went to go start my own thing, yes, I did it because we needed it in my family. I needed to be able to stay home with Nora. I needed, you know, like all of these things, right? Like I had good reasons for doing it. However, I still had that fear. I still had that fear of like, who does she think she is, right? I had that fear that everybody back at that business that I worked for was essentially looking at me on social media or whatever and thinking, why does she think she can do this? Like, what right does she have, right? I was thinking that's what they were thinking. Now, the reality is, nobody actually said that to me. Nobody ever said that to me. I really don't think they actually were. At this point, as I look back on it, I don't think anybody was thinking of me, right? They weren't, and that, it's kind of like a slap in the face a little bit. Like, they're not really thinking about you because they're busy and they've got their own blinders on getting through the day. They're not really thinking about what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's another thing to just kind of realize that it's not really that big of a deal. Nobody's really thinking about you anyway. Not in a negative, not like nobody cares, but like they're not thinking about you just to get mad and be negative, right? Now, let's circle back to the conversation that we had the other day about the 5%, right? And if you need to, go ahead and watch the video about 5%. It's on YouTube if you want. So the 5%, as I was talking about before, those are the people that it's 5% of your audience, and it's a scalable number. It'll always be 5%. And they are just loud about, they just want you to quit what you're doing, okay? Here's the thing. The 5% are going to mirror back your fear right in your face, okay? They will, even if they're not using the exact words that you say to yourself, they're going to mirror that gross, ugly, just gross fear right back in your face. And they're going to paralyze you. But what you need to know about the 5% is that they're not out for your well-being, okay? They're out to make themselves feel better. God bless them, whatever they went through. I'm not saying that they're terrible people, but I'm saying the state that they're in whenever they're doing that, just kind of barfing all over people, whenever they're doing that, what they're doing is they're trying to satisfy their self in some way, right? They need to feel better about themselves in some way. And so that's not truth, okay? It's them just trying to make you feel bad. It's not truth, all right? So what I'm saying is that will 100% happen, okay? So you're sitting here with this imposter syndrome, which I haven't even addressed yet, but happens to everyone. Every single person that starts to take their step out into the world, into their purpose, onto their journey, whatever you want to call it, that takes the step out, right? Out of this lane that everybody is in, that's sort of like zombified in this lane. You have somebody that's getting ready to take a step this way. It always, always, always happens. And the reason, you guys, is that same reason that I talked about in the 5% video. It's your ego, right? It's the primal version of yourself that needs to keep you safe. Because back when we were hunter-gatherers, if we were to step out of our tribe, if we were to go out there, we could potentially get eaten, right? So our part of that part of our brain has not evolved yet to the point where we're at where I can step outside of my house and not feel that I might get eaten, okay? We're moving to Florida, so that might change. I was just thinking about that as I was saying it. I don't know. We have a fence, though. Anyway, so what I'm saying is we have to understand it for what it is. It was keeping us safe, and that's awesome. I'm so glad it kept us safe for so long, right? But it doesn't need to keep us safe from success. I want to talk about what the imposter syndrome really is. I want to reframe it for you so you understand what it really is. And I'm smiling so big because I'm so excited for you to understand this. Because when you understand it, it's so easy to just like, any negativity, you're like, whatever, right? What imposter syndrome really is, you guys, is fear of success. I'll let you sit on it for a second. Okay? Fear of success, some of you might be like, I am not afraid of success. Bring it. I'm good, right? A lot of people are still afraid of success. They're afraid of what, will they be a good steward of the finances when they come in? Also, what will people think of them whenever they start making more money? Did you have, like in your childhood when you were coming up, did your parents ever talk about people with a lot of money like they were bad people? There are a lot of things to unpack there, right? That might have fear of success attached to them, but most people do have a fear of success in some capacity, okay? So That said, the imposter syndrome, all it is fear of success rearing its head. So what it actually means to me, and I believe it should mean to anybody, is that you're getting somewhere, okay? So it means that your body actually feels the need to save you from something because you're about to go somewhere. Now, how does that feel? Can you now deal with those feelings of like, you know, who does she think that she is, da-da-da-da-da. It's easier to deal with it when you realize that nobody's really thinking about that anyway, except for the people that are just trying to hurt everybody anyway. But then whenever you realize it's just fear of success, isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? And it's going to happen every time that you level up. And level up is such a Nintendo term, but every time that you get ready to level up in your life, in your business, in your, you know, as your person, every time you get ready to level up, it's almost like you crash through a glass ceiling, right? And that crash is a little bit painful. You might get like a bump on your head, right? It's a little bit painful to crash through. And that pain that sort of happens, or that resistance that happens as you crash through, is going through that next level version that you thought you were. And then it's breaking through to the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. And the more that you're okay and you just allow it to come in, like, okay, so imposter syndrome, awesome, I'm getting ready to level up. All right, let's ride this thing out, right? Now, for me to say that is very easy, but then what do you do? What do you do with it, right? Because whenever you're in the throes of it and you're feeling it, it's kind of like, it's paralyzing. It's like, I can't even take another step for fear of what they're going to think. There are a couple things. First thing is, if they really do make fun of you or whatever, the wrong people are going to naturally slough out of your life, okay? So be okay with that. Be okay with that. There are a lot of people in our lives. There's a lot of people in my life at 10 years ago that aren't anymore. And God bless them, they're doing their own thing, but they're not in my life anymore. And it's for the best. And they'll slough off, and it's okay. It's okay for everybody involved. Basically what you're doing is you're showing people a version of themselves that you're mirroring to them. So this is their own insecurities, right? You're mirroring to them what they didn't do or what they're choosing not to do. Okay, so when you, like crabs in a bucket, when you start climbing out of the bucket, you're mirroring to the other crabs in the bucket what they're not doing, right? And for some people, they'll use that as growth, and then they'll climb with you, and that's awesome. You will have friends that do that. And then you'll also have friends that won't, and then they'll slough off. And it's a little bit painful because it's relationships and we're humans and that's how it goes. But also understand that it's just how it has to be too. And that's okay. But I didn't mean to really get into all of that. But anyway, I hope that that's helpful for you guys, because I know how paralyzing it can be. Oh, but also whenever you get into those moments, what I would do is I would think of your goal. You need to be finite in that goal of yours, the next step goal of yours, right? Not goal, target, right? Do a Grant Cardone. There's the goal and then there's the target, right? So the next target of yours, the next like foreseeable target, keep your eye on that. Whenever you get into that mode of like, who do I think that I am? I know that they're thinking this or whatever that looks like in your mind. Keep your eye on that next target and know that you can do it. Because listen, I am like the underdog's underdog, okay? If I can do it, you literally can do it, okay? So know that you can move to that next target, but you have to just put the earmuffs on whenever it comes to the haters or just your perceived thoughts of whatever, right? You just need to think about your target instead. Okay. All right. Let me know what questions you guys have. And I hope that was helpful. All right. Oh, and we're at 15 minutes. Oh, that's fantastic. Where are we at with our, oh man. Hey, Megan. OMG, your puppy. Ah. Oh, yeah. Well, I'll do them. Okay. I'll wait till there's actually a question. Brenda, hi, Herman. Megan, oh my gosh, she's adorable. Hannah, hi. Hello. Deanna, hey, girl. Hey. Let's see. Leanne, this is perfect. I struggle with this so much. It is 100%. Is that how we do it? Added it. Boom. Look at you, Leanne. It's 100% something that a lot of people struggle with. Like I said, I was talking to some friends last week, and the husband just slowed down, and it was like, hey, I need to talk about this for a second. And it was very real. And I'm like, I get it. I get it. Like, I went through that. Awful. Awful. But then I just kept going. I kept going. Maybe that's being hard-headed, maybe whatever. I don't know. But trust me, if you keep going, it is glorious. Because whenever you make it through to the thing that you're doing, it's like you're the only car on the road, right? It's like you don't have any competition. It's just you doing your thing in all of your glory, and it's fantastic. So just keep going. Aw, Sean, cutie. Sean, glad you were sharing this. I was reading about this yesterday. Oh, awesome. Yes, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Deanna, truth. Martina Wall, so true. Sherry, ha, I got a hashtag for that. Steven, Rocket, yes. Susan, 99% of the time, those people are not even thinking that. Yes, exactly. That's the funniest thing. And it's so hard to tell people like, hey, I love you so much. They're not thinking about you, right? They're not thinking about you. It's okay. It's okay. They're not even thinking about you anyway. So don't even worry about it. Let's see. Martina, how do you overcome? Let me get this up here. How do you overcome those thoughts? I struggle with this as a plus-size yoga teacher, thinking people don't take me seriously as a teacher because of my size or abilities. Okay, so you probably already heard what I'm saying. First of all, and a lot of people say this, it's very true. You only have to be 1 or 2 steps ahead of the people that you're helping as well too, right? Because you're an inspiration regardless, right? It makes no difference, but you're an inspiration regardless. And the more that you can be comfortable in your own skin, and the more that you can just like own it, the more it will make it actually easier for you. It's almost, I think it's a neuroplasticity thing would be my guess, because you're really kind of just creating your world based on creating these synapses. Not going to get all into that, but basically believe in who you are. And I know that sounds completely obscure, but believe in who you are. Walk in, chest out, you know what I'm saying? Shoulders back, like you own the place. And just show up in service and nobody can touch you. And then eventually your belief becomes your reality. Anastasia, wow, this is hitting home. Thank you, Martha, for speaking this truth. Of course. Rachel, how are you streaming across multiple platforms? And this is super good. I always think this way. Who am I to think I can do this? That's everybody does that. Everybody does it. I'm streaming across multiple platforms with a new software that we've been testing out. Love it. Love it. Okay, you guys. Well, it's Saturday afternoon, so I'm going to get out of here. You guys have the best day, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.